sense of fluidity that happens in our yoga practice. So, water, one of the beautiful things about water is that it's stronger than rock, right? So the flow of water, when we allow ourselves to fall into the flow and the grace of movement, we have such incredible strength, kind of strength than being like solid ground. And in our bodies we have so many different ways of orienting ourselves to our different mediums. So we have the musculoskeletal body, which is this firmness and strength, and we have a nervous system, and we have all these different systems. And our fluid system in the body is one that, if you know people who kind of live in their fluid body, they're filled with grace, and they have an adaptability to them, an ability to exchange and feel support from a softer place. And it's a beautiful system to live in our bodies. And this fluid system, includes not only our blood vessels and our lymph, but also our intracellular matrix. The every cell in our body is primarily made up of water, and also the bath that our cells live in. The interstitial fluid that's all around our cells is this gel-like substance that is mostly water, that also can be very supportive to us in lots of different ways. The fascia, when looked upon in a microscopic level, is very fluid. So it's more than just the blood flowing through our veins that is the fluid nature. We are a fluid nature to our cellular level. And so there's lots to work with in our yoga practice to kind of dive into our fluid body. So we're going to do some of this today. When I think of living in the fluid bodies, flow, circulation, grace, ease, lubrication, buoyancy, the ability to exchange, the ability to adapt and change, to feel support. These are all aspects of our fluid body, and they're really great things that we need. And the last thing I want to say about the wateriness within us is, if you think about like dirt in the ground that's dry, and you add water, or soil in a plant that's very dry and you add water, or your dry ingredients when you're baking something and you add the wet ingredients, there's a cohesion that happens when we come into the watery nature of things. That water makes earth cohesive. It brings things into unity. And our fluid body and ourselves can do this too, that it's not something that, we can think of the structural support as being our stable places, but if we recruit the fluid body into that support, we have a much better cohesion in our cells and in our body and in our movements. So let's think about that while we're moving today. And then I wanted to read to you to bless the space between us. I think many of you know this book because I read from it often in the practice. This is by John O'Donohue. It's probably my favorite book. But anyway, it's a lot of blessings and poetry. And this is his words and musings, meditations, really. It's called In Praise of Water. Let us bless the grace of water, the imagination of the primeval ocean, where the first forms of life stirred and emerged to dress the vacant earth with warm quilts of color. The well, whose liquid root worked through the long night of clay, trusting ahead of itself openings that would yet yield to its yearning, until at last it arises in the desire of light to discover the pure quiver of itself, flowing crystal clear and free through delighted emptiness. The courage of a river to continue belief in the slow fall of ground, always falling farther toward the unseen ocean. The river does what words would love, keeping its appearance, but insisting on disappearance. Its only life surrendered to the event of pilgrimage, carrying the origin to the end. Seldom pushing or straining, keeping itself to itself, everywhere, all along its flow, all at one with its sinuous mind. An other rhythm, never awkward, It continues to swirl through all unlikeliness with elegance, a ceaseless traverse of presence, soothing on each side the stilled fields, surrounding out its journey, raising up a buried music where the silence of time becomes almost audible. Tides stirred by the eros of the moon draw from that permanent restlessness, perfect waves that languidly rise and pleat in gradual forms of aquamarine, to offer every last tear of delight at the altar of stillness inland. And the rain in the night, driven by the loneliness of the wind, to perforate the darkness, as though some air pocket might open to release the perfume of a lost day and salvage some memory from its forsaken turbulence and drop its weight of longing into the earth and anchor. Let us bless the humility of water, always willing to take the shape of whatever otherness holds it. The buoyancy of water, stronger than the deadening downward drag of gravity. The innocence of water, flowing forth without thought of what awaits it. The refreshment of water, dissolving the crystals of thirst. Water, voice of grief, cry of love, in the flowing tear. Water, vehicle and idiom of all the inner voyaging that keeps us alive. Blessed be water, our first mother. So go ahead and sit up straight and tall. And close your eyes for a moment and find yourself. Start to feel that the breath is the deep sister of the fluid in your body. That the presence of the flow of breath teaches us the nature of fluidity. So we can access this deep part of ourselves that is really our true self. We are mostly water. See what it feels like to relax and melt. To have your skin fall just a bit, draping over your body. Like the feeling of a gentle shower of rain or a waterfall. Just clearing away the outer surface of the skin, letting any tension that is on your exterior melt. And come into the deep rhythm of your breath again. Whatever you feel to be the essence of fluidity within you. Can you let your intentions about your practice harness this energy? What can the gift of fluidity give you to support you today? Place your hands together. Bow in, soften. Let's release our hands down and come onto your back. Okay, so as you find your way beginning your physical practice, coming onto your back, allow that sense of what gravity does, where now you're in a different orientation to the earth than when you're sitting or standing. And can you feel that water takes the shape of its container? So as gravity changes its form, how do you feel your fluid body spread out a bit on the floor? And let's pay attention to the joints. So you have in most of your joints a little sac called your synovial fluid that kind of It's this fluid sac around your joints that lubricates your joints. Think of hinges and the WD-40 that you need, that fluidity that helps joints flow and move with cushion and smoothness. So let's just feel into any joint you sense. And can you imagine that there's this little pool of water that surrounds your joints, bathing your joints? And same, you have this pool of water around all of your organs too. There's a somewhat gelatinous but very fluid nature of support that surrounds each organ. So let's just come into that level of cushioning that our body has, softness that our body has that is incredibly supportive. So our support doesn't have to just come from alignment of bones and muscular strength and will, but it can come from access into this fluid nature. Let's stretch our arms, come into the extension, reach the right side, reach the left side, come into the openness of your body. Breathe fully. And then bring your knees into your chest and rock a little bit. So shaking, bouncing, rocking, swaying, these are motions that are really help us access our fluid body. So even here, just rocking from side to side, can you come into that space where you are liquid? You are not just solid. And then release your legs down back into a spread out space, and see if you can let the consciousness of your bones, your solid parts, kind of recede into the background a little bit and come to know your fluid self. We're going to do a little meditation, hoping to do a little meditation at the end to come into this fluid self. But let's start here as well. So as you breathe in, feel that navel radiation of stretching from your navel out to your edges, to your pinkies and your pinky fingers, pinky toes, thumbs, and all your digits. See if you can stretch into there, and then return back. So find the breath, finding that this rhythm of moving from your center on the in-breath out to your edges, and your edges flowing back to your center. Become the swell on the ocean wave, so that your breath is the swell in the body. Finding that expansion on your in-breath and the falling back down in on your out-breath. Start to align your self with this feeling of fluidity as you breathe, and let it be a guiding force in your movement patterns today. Stretch and lengthen a little further. And then as you exhale, knees in, head up. Let's find that flow. Open your body out. Exhale. Flow your body in. Inhale. Expanding your limbs away. Exhale. Drawing it in. Put your head back down. Let your arms release out to the sides. Feet are width apart. And let's rock from side to side. Breathing well. And as you feel yourself both breathe and rock, what are you noticing about the nature of fluids in your body, the movement of fluids in your body? All right, and then let's draw the knees back in. Open up your knees wide and bring them back in. And just find that fluid movement of the hip joints. Perhaps you do full circles, perhaps half circles. What kind of range of motion is available in your hips today? And then hug that right hip in and stretch your left leg long on the floor. Feel the extension through your spine and roll around in your ankle and feel that joint space loosen a little bit. So when we gently move the body in any way, the simple act of rolling our ankles and moving our feet liquefies our fascial system. So all that connective tissue of our ligaments, tendons, bone, fascia, all these things start to become a little bit less hard and a little more fluid as we move. Left knee into the chest, right leg long on the floor. And this movement does not have to be extreme for us to turn that connective tissue from a more jelly state to a more liquid state. I always think of it like Jello. You know, when you cook Jello on the stove and warm it up and stir it, it gets very liquidy. When's the last time you made Jello? Probably like 30 years ago. But remember Jello. And then when it's solid and cold, when you don't leave it alone and put it in cold, it gets more solid. So our connective tissue is like Jello. We want to warm and move it. Okay, one more time, stretching the limbs out. Exhale, drawing the knees in. Okay, roll over onto your side and come up onto your hands and your knees. Finding your way onto all fours and begin some cat-cows. Once again, finding the fluid nature of movement in your body. We're coming into this state of grace that our breath and our fluid movements give us. See if your strength can come from water instead of from rock. All right, so move your pose all around. See what it feels like to swivel, to sway, to swirl. And then come back towards child's pose and move your arms overhead if it's comfortable, not overhead if it's not comfortable. Taking ourselves to our very end point often stretches us tautly and we lose our fluidity, so back off just slightly. Walk the hands over to one side of the mat and open the opposite ribs up. Be very mindful to melt the skin, to melt the joints, to feel the softness come into the base of the skull and the eyes. Come over to the other side, feeling that stretch and lengthen through the ribs. The neck is soft, the base of the skull is relaxed. And then come back to center. Come up onto all fours. Any movement of the spine that feels nice. Inhale, reach one arm up in the air. Exhale and slide that shoulder down, feeling a twist. Try not to harden. Find the softness in the stability. Breathe deeply. Find the grace of your breath. Let the breath awaken the fluid body. And then inhale. Reach that arm all the way up to the sky and place the hand down. Change sides. Arm up. Exhale. Arm through. Breathe well. And then inhale, reach that arm all the way up to the sky again. Hand back down onto the ground. Shake out your wrists for a moment. Roll out your wrists and then find your way to dog pose. So when you bring yourself into this posture, but movement happens. So you can move your feet around. You can move your hands, your neck, your shoulders, bend your knees, sway your hips. Anything that's going to enliven and wake and warm all that fluidness that we're trying to cultivate. The breath is the friend of fluidity. Find the fluidity within the breath. Every once in a while, touch point that your breath is this ocean tide, that your whole body breathes, your whole body rises, your whole body falls. All right, walk your feet forward. Come into Uttanasana. Feel free to rock, sway, any kind of movement. Feel the sit bones lift. Bend your knees as much as you want. Let the neck relax. Inhale for a halfway lift. Stretch the backs of the legs. Feel the openness in your feet. And release back down. Push off your feet. Rise up. Okay, and we're just going to shake and bounce. So let's first just start by bouncing. This is a great way to wake up the fluid in our body. We're just a bag of water, so feel it bounce around. Okay, you don't have to leave the floor. We're just bouncing. You can kind of lean into one leg and bounce. You can lean into another leg and bounce. Notice what's happening in your discs in your spine, in your joints? Can you let all this feedback tell your joints, kind of wake up that synovial fluid? All right, and then relax. Now shake out your hands. Shaking also is a great way to wake up the fascial system. Deep breaths. Now bounce and shake at the same time. Any kind of movement. Okay, just let your body go. All right, now be still for a moment and notice what got woken up. How are you alive? How do you feel alive? What's the nature of your sensations? Take a deep breath. Now we're going to practice the art of yielding, which you all know, but let's practice again. Let's try to prop ourselves up. So push off the floor, engage your body, see how high you can lift yourself up, and notice what the quality of your mind, the quality of your breath is when you're trying to prop away from the earth. And then do just the opposite, collapse. Fall as much as you are able into the earth. And notice the quality of the mind. Notice the quality of the breath when you're in the state. So neither are very supportive. So let's find, neither one of them allow us to find the fluid body very well. So now let's find just in the middle, somewhere between propping and collapsing, we find this yielding. The joints are soft. Undo the knees. Undo the ankles. Feel the feet. Kind of squish the feet into the earth a little bit. See if you can allow that rebound. So as you drink the earth up through your body, can you feel the tone of your body lift toward your crown? So if you have too much tone in your body, we lose our fluids, we lose our breath. If we have not enough tone in the body, we lose our fluids, our breath. We lose our connection from the earth. So let's find just the perfect tone in our muscles, the perfect tone in our joint spaces, the perfect breath to give us this sense of connection to the earth and access to the fluid body. So you can practice this yielding in every posture. Every posture, check in and see, am I yielding? Do I have the access to this feeling? Notice the quality of the breath. Notice the quality of the mind when you are yielding. All right, let's shake it out again. Bounce one more time before we start, asana. Just get things loosened up. Move your shoulders, move your spine. You can do any kind of bouncing or rocking or swaying that feels good. Okay. All right, take a deep breath. Open yourself up, lean back a little bit if it feels nice, and then exhale and float down toward the earth. Knees are bent. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt back down again. Let's step our right foot forward, left foot back, come to your lunge. The way we warm up, feel that sense of expansion in your body. Can you yield here? Always take a moment to feel the yielding in whatever pose you are in. Feel the longness of the spine, that rebound from the earth as you tone and give to the crown. Let's start to move here. Move with breath. Wherever your breath takes you, that's where you go. So find the flow. Do you have grace? Do you have ease? Are you adaptable? Are you open to change? Are you open-minded? Are you open-bodied? These are the aspects of our fluid self. In praise of water, can you be in praise of the water within you? All right, let's come to a lunge. Stay here, open yourself up, rise up to crescent lunge, reach the arms wherever gives you space. Yield and rebound through your crown. Bring yourself into a big open breath. Notice where you bind yourself unnecessarily. Can your strength come from reaching from your navel to your edges and back home again? Can you feel the tidal wave of your breath? Exhale and release the hands down. Back foot comes forward, fold. Inhale for a halfway lift. The body opens. Exhale, back toward the navel. Step back with your right leg, left leg forward. Come to a lunge. Feel the flow of your breath. Feel the flow of your body movement. Squaring hips the whole time as you bend and straighten your knee. Move with your breath. Feel the nature of as if your skin was being washed with water, a flow out on the outer surface, a flow on the inner surface. Come into a lunge. Ground yourself. Feel your yielding before you even rise up. Bring your body into space. Where do you want your arms? What's giving you that sense of connecting your navel to your edges back to your center? Where are you yielding? Is the fluid body living in this navel radiation and yield? Breathe, relax the shoulders. So our muscles are working. We're not unworking. The fluid body doesn't mean a relaxed body necessarily, but it's an easeful, adaptable body. Feel that within yourself. All right, release the hands. Come down to a plank. Step that front foot back. Hold yourself steady. Even here, when we start to find a little more rigidity, solidity, stability, is there fluidity embedded? Okay, bend your knees, come all the way down to the ground. Try not to hold the breath on the way up. As soon as your exhale comes, lower yourself back down for cobra pose. Twice more. Take a deep breath in and let that tidal wave fall back down. Feel the fullness of your whole body in the pose. Stretch into your legs. Relax here. Find your breath. Roll over onto your back. Now, if you have space right now to do this on a wood floor is so nice. If you've been with me in person in class, you've probably done this with me. It's very difficult to do on a sticky mat, or not difficult, but it's just not as satisfying. So a kitchen floor, a wood floor, these are the best surfaces to do this. So even if you can't do it right now, try to put this in your memory bank for some yoga homework. Okay, so we're gonna stretch out our limbs for a moment, and then we're gonna drape and slither and glide as we roll over into a fetal position. And then sliding ourselves back to our starfish and gliding over, draping our body over into the fetal position. So if you look at me for a moment, notice I'm not doing this. I'm not picking myself up and pulling myself over and picking myself up and going back. I'm letting my limbs just follow the center. Okay, and then I'm letting my center follow my limbs as I stretch back out. So feel how liquid you can become, how much slithery, slidey, glidey, liquidy nature can you give into this as you go from left to right. You need a lot of room. You know, I run out of room in my little space here. So the luxury of a wooden floor or a tile floor or a linoleum floor is a beautiful way to practice this gliding movement of coming in toward the navel, you know, the center, and expanding out away from the center in a very fluid way. If you feel like you're clumsy, if you feel like you're awkward in any way in your physical movement patterns, practice this fluidity. We all have it within us to have this level of grace. You don't have to, you know, be a dancer or be whatever you think of as graceful. We have this within us. So after you finish on the whatever side you didn't start on, let's go ahead and roll over onto our side and come back onto all fours. No, do you actually sit up for a moment? Do you feel fluid? Do you feel relaxed? Do you feel embodied? Do you feel inside your breath? And let's come onto all fours. Let's take our right leg straight back behind us, left arm out in front of us. Feel the stability of your core, but notice what's able to be fluid. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, draw the elbow and knee underneath you. Inhale, expanding it out. Exhale, Drawing it in. Let's reach it out one more time. Place that hand and knee onto the ground and let's change sides. So your right leg is out behind you, your left arm, and of course, if your shoulder doesn't like that, you can have your arm back behind you. Take a deep breath in, stabilize. Exhale, feel the hugging in. So same, when you do this movement, can you feel that on the in-breath, you're expanding from your center out, and as you exhale, you're returning. Become the wave of the ocean where we're rising and falling. That it's a natural, integrative movement pattern to expand and condense. Okay. Next time you reach your arms out, place your knee down onto the ground. Any little bit of integration in some swirls or cat-cows or whatever you want to do. And then find your way back up to dog pose. Breathe deeply here, extending through the spine. Deep inhale, deep exhale. Lift your right leg up in the air. Exhale, knee to chest. Expand outward again. Exhale, bring your foot forward. Come to a lunge. Grab your 2 blocks. Have them close by. Rise up to crescent lunge again. Fluid body, yielding body, navel radiation from your center to your limbs and back. Soften the joint spaces. And release your hands onto the blocks. Inhale, lift that leg in the air. Exhale, tuck in. The knee can go behind the knee or next to the knee, whatever is feeling good. Inhale, expand away from your center. Are you yielding? Exhale, draw in. Are you yielding? So when you push off, can you feel the rebound through your body without a sense of propping and locking? And when you hug back in, can you feel that sense of condensement without it binding you? Yield and breathe. All right, let's expand outward again. Stretch back, back heel comes down onto the ground this time. Rise up, same thing. Where do you want your arms to be? Maybe you want your arms down. What's giving you the sense of expansion and that yielding? So we're not locked. We're not restrained. We're not taut. And reach the hands down to the ground. Dog pose. Extending through the spine, finding the breath. Inhale, come forward into a plank. Put your knees down to glide toward the floor. Inhale, cobra pose or any back bend. Exhale, melt back down. Up onto all fours. Have a movement of the spine that nurtures you. Yield into the earth and rise back up to dog pose. Feel the relationship with the earth. Yield all your limbs into the earth. Rebound. Feel the earth give to you. Melt the head. Find the joint spaces. Try not to block out joints. Inhale, left leg lifts in the air. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, bring that leg back. Exhale, bring your foot forward, plant your foot down. Rise up on your breath. Crescent lunge, open your body. What's fluid? What's radiating from the center? How are you yielding? And then release your hands down. Come up onto that one leg on your left leg. Lift the right leg behind you. Expand from your center out to your limbs. Exhale, bring your limbs back toward your center. Find the breath, find the yielding. Inhale, feel the flow. Exhale, draw in. Is your fluid body here? Let's do one more. Expand that leg out. Go ahead and place the back heel down onto the ground. Feel the stability of 2 feet. And then rise up anywhere you want. Your hands can be on your hips. Your hands can be out wherever you get best sense of space and breath and fluidity at the same time as grounding and yielding. How is the flow of your breath moving through you? Can you relax the base of the skull? Soften your eyes. Imagine the bathing of your eyes in their little bath of fluid. Release your hands down onto the ground and come back to dog pose. Yield again. Melt the face. Melt the skull. Let the brain rest. See if you can feel into the cerebral spinal fluid bathing the brain. This kind of serene, peaceful presence of this bath around your brain and spinal cord that has its own rhythm, its own pace of movement. All right, let's walk our feet forward. Come into Uttanasana one more time. Inhale for a halfway lift. Feel the flow. Exhale. Melt back down. Push off your feet. Rise up, bringing the arms. And then release your arms down. Shake out your wrists a little bit if you want. And let's come to turn sideways on your mat. Come to a wide stance. Okay. And we're going to flow from side to side. We're going to do this two different ways. First, we're just going to move fluidly. I always think of seaweed when I do this. Turn your toes out a little bit. And we're going to find the weight of one leg and then slide over and find the weight of the other leg. Now you can do your arms like this. You can do your arms any way that you want to do your arms. So find what is fluid in your movement pattern. Don't look at me, feel into it for yourself. We're just moving from the weight of one side and then transferring that through the pelvis down into the other leg. Can you feel this sense of yielding into the earth and feeling the earth give back to you? Let your upper body be as fluid, as graceful, as moving as you want it to be. There's no rules. Follow the principles of yielding. Follow the principles of navel radiation, that ebb and flow of the breath. Follow the principles of feeling into your fluid body as your stability, as your adaptability. Who cares how deep you go? You could go super deep. You can come really low. Your hands can slide on the earth. You can go high. Wherever your joints take you, whatever kind of movement is available. Maybe you're moving super slow. Maybe you're moving much faster. All right, and then we're going to find our way, slowing down the movement to the center. And with Goddess pose, put your hands wherever it's going to give you fluidity, navel radiation, and yielding. So if bringing your hands together locks you, if bringing your arms up locks you, bring something into grace. Okay, where are you most fluid? Where your energy just flows to your limbs? How deep do you want to be? Do you want to be high? Do you want to be low? All right, and then stand up straight. Shake out your wrists. Bring your legs back together again. And any kind of bouncing, moving, shaking, rocking. What feels good? Sometimes make some sound. Like what your voice would be if you were in front of a fan. You can let your vocal cords feel the fluidity too. So anything that you want. And shake out your hands and yield again. What part of you has not succumbed to the rhythm of yielding yet? What part of you still feels solid instead of fluid? And that doesn't mean that we're losing our stability. So of course we're still solid. We still have this support system of our muscles and our bones. But is fluidity permeating? Check in with your body. Close your eyes. Where is fluidity not found you yet? How about your sacrum? How about your sit bones? How about your shoulder blades? How about your sternum? Just follow yourself around. Look around. And then take your legs wide again. So we're repeating a similar thing, but this time we're, instead of going kind of side to side, we're going to do some more circling movements. So root into your right leg. We're going to slide it over to the left and reach open and big like you're holding a sun. Down you go. So think less about the movement of your spine going up and down and more about the support of your legs taking you into this. So your back shouldn't be doing all of the movement. Your legs are what are supporting you. Your glutes, your hamstrings, your quads, your hip flexors, your inner thighs, all of it's finding some strength. Where is the yielding? Where is the breath? Are you slow? Are you fast? Find your way to the top. Lean back a little bit if it's comfortable. And then exhale and fold forward. We're going to go the other direction in a moment. Relax your neck. Bend your knees, come on up. And now we're going to go the other direction. So whatever way, I don't think I said which way to go first. I went this way, so now I'm going to go this way. Okay. Go the other direction. You can hold a very soft, light, feathery ball in your arms. Feel the grounding, the roots. Think of that line in Don O'Donoghue's work about the well and how water digs itself down into the clay to find its place. So let the roots of your legs, the yielding, find the earth. The fluidity comes. Transfer from one side to the next. All right, now I want you to pause with your body squatting deep. Arms are out or back or forward, or palms are together. Face the floor. Drop into the deep flexion of your hips. Root, yield your feet. And then rebound into some open space. And release your hands down. Walk your feet a little closer together. One more time, any kind of movement that's going to return you back to your ease. Okay. And then the last fluid thing we'll do here standing is feet are a little wider than the hips and we swing. So instead of having our legs, ground and bend, we're now just letting our spine be fluid. Let gravity take hold. Let the centrifugal force of movement take hold. You can go slow, fast. You can have your arms down, up, out, wherever feels good. All right. And then come back to the center of your mat. One last time, rise up, lean back. Exhale and float forward. Relax your head. Inhale for a halfway lift. Non-dominant foot back first, dog pose. Extend, yield. Feel the radiation, feel the fluidity. Come forward into a plank. And lower yourself down to the ground. Any back bend of your choosing. Locust pose, Superman, up dog, cobra pose, whatever is good. Exhale and melt. Turn your head to one side or the other. Feel your body prone on the floor for a moment. Pick up your feet and windshield wiper your knees. So dropping feet over left and right. Turn your head the other way. Yield into the earth. All right, let's come back up onto all fours. Swirl around the spine. Release that back bend, and we're going to come on to our back. Lie on your back. Just a couple of moving bridges, just to feel some more fluidity in all these different ways. Root your feet. Remember, this is not about coming to your end points, your extreme points. but about feeling the flow of water in your body. So root yourself down, yield, inhale, arms overhead, pelvis comes up, exhale, arms down at your sides. Feel the softness in your palms and your fingertips. One more time, feel the yielding in your shoulder blades and your feet. Let's do one more. Be still for a moment. Yield, learn to yield on your back now. Are you in your fluid body yet? Are you in your breath? Can you feel that wave of radiating from your center to your limbs and back? Can your whole body feel like a swell on the ocean as you breathe? You get to decide which variation of a hip stretch you're going to do. Right foot on left knee for a reverse pigeon pose, or right thigh crosses over left thigh for that hip stretch. So choose which feels better in your body right now. And as we come into a static posture where we're not flowing, can you still feel the flowing breath? Can you still feel the yielding into the earth with the back of your head, any part of your body that's touching? Stay in the presence of your breath. Long, smooth, surrendering exhales. All right. And then release. In between, stretch your limbs out again. And then we'll come to the second side. So either left thigh over right thigh, and we're reaching for our knees or our shins somewhere, or your left foot is on your right knee for a reverse pigeon pose. Whatever, and of course you can do something totally different from this. This is just suggestions. So whatever pose you're choosing, can you yield? Can you breathe? Do you feel the sense of release that the fluid body can give to the posture? Are you noticing a difference in the quality of your thinking? Are you loosening your grip? Think of holding on to the branches on the banks of the river versus sliding in and flowing in the river. Can you let go? Can you slide into the flowing river? And then unwind that. Okay. Arms down on the ground, palms are up, receive. Let's do a simple twist. Lift the hips, move them right, knees up, drop left. Enjoy the open breath here. Melt into the floor. With every breath, find something new. And then come back up. Bring your knees back. Adjust your pelvis neutral. And then move your hips left. And the knees come up and drop right. Support yourself in any way you need to. If you need a block under your shins, a blanket under your head, whatever is needed so that you can rest. Stay in the yielding, stay in the breath. And come back up. Feet on the floor, neutral pelvis. Decide what your body needs. Do you need knees to the chest and a little rocking, a happy baby pose? Do you want to roll over onto your side for a moment? Do you want to spin and rock on your back until some rocking plow. So just discover what your body needs. And then see what you can do to get yourself settled into the ground. We're going to begin Shavasana with just a little bit of a fluid meditation, kind of sensing into the fluid body. So support yourself now. If you need blankets or props or if you need warmth, whatever you need to let your Shavasana be very supportive. And as you come to settle, giving yourself time to find your way. And as you come to settle into the floor, let your first fluid rhythm that you find be that feeling that we've been working with all class, the breath, the sense of rise and fall, like you're on the swell of an ocean tide inside of your breath. The body is breathing. It's not just the nose or the lungs, but the skin. The whole being is having a swell of inhale and a release of exhale. And see what you can find back into the synovial fluid. Can you feel the cushion around your joints, like they're in a flotation tank where you're just suspended? Your joint spaces are suspended in a fluid medium of support. Let yourself relax into that support. Now adding on to this tidal rhythm of the ocean in your breath, the lakes surrounding your joints. Now let's move into the rivers of flow in your body, your strong drumbeat of the arterial flow in your arteries. This assertiveness. I have someplace to go. Reaching out from your heart to all your capillaries. And then the return, taking what's ready to be released from the body back. So just like this tidal wave of the breath, the rhythm of our blood flow, feel that resource moving to cells and the resource moving back to be released by kidneys, by lungs, by liver. Feel the quieter flow of your lymph, gathering extra fluid, being vigilant as part of your immune system, this beautiful flow of a milky, shimmery substance moving from all your extremities back into the vessels right at your collarbones. This one-way direction of flow. Let's now move into the clear shimmer of the cerebral spinal fluid that bathes your brain and your spinal cord, a cushion and a transport system. It's got its own special rhythm deep in our bodies. Can you feel the fluidity around your brain? Can you melt your brain into that fluidity? Can you feel the fluidity around your spine? Protection, support, transportation. Let's move into the fluidity in all your fascia, this deep web of connective tissue that we think of as scaffolding, but microscopically it's liquid. It's like saliva. It can adapt and move and change, and nerve impulses can travel through it, and all sorts of nutrients can travel through it. So let's imagine this scaffolding of our whole being a fluid matrix, turning that jello from solid, more liquid. Can you feel the interstitial fluid that wraps every cell? It's around every cell. It's an ocean in our entire body. And finally, can you feel the still ponds of each cell? Their own little universe in and of themselves, connecting through this interstitial fluid to the rest of our fluid body. But each cell is its own ocean, its own pond. Can you feel yourself as a giant ocean, a collection of drops? Let's return back to the flow of our breath. That sense that we are an ocean swell. Melt your whole body. Feel that you are just fluid. You are nothing solid. You are all fluid. The only thing that exists is flow and grace and ease and buoyancy, lubrication, juiciness, support, exchange, adaptability. This is what you are. As you are ready, invite some movement into the body. Maybe you can stretch from the center outward again to your limbs and back. Maybe you can drape yourself as you roll over onto your side. And with such ease, see if you can lift yourself back, pushing off your arms to come to a seat. As you come to sit up, feel the buoyancy between your vertebrae. Feel the buoyancy around all your organs in your belly as you breathe and move your belly. When you're ready, place your hands together and allow this fluid matrix to be the deepest capacity for transporting energy from you to another. Offer your prayers, your blessings outward. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.